Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to my Kinetic Fusillade Totem Strength Stacker that I've been doing for 3.28. The league has come to an end for me, so I just wanted to make a quick video to showcase where I ended up with this build, what I did. To give you all an idea on how the build functions. So again, I think just the last video I will go pretty in detail, so it will be a longer video probably. But with all that being said, let's just get into the passage tree as always. Starting with our ascendancies. We are playing the Hierophant, obviously because we want the extra totems and totem summon speed and more damage per totem. Pretty standard stuff right there. And then we have the endurance and power charges, just survivability damage. These are the only three good nodes you can take, so then we take a Bloodline Ascendancy. In this case we take all for the action speed reduction. If you wanted, you could also take this for the crit immunity, but I've solved it another way. You will see a lot of people that play this build play the Spectral Tigers instead of the Precursor release. This is also not a bad option. Because it will give you a bunch of attack speed and a bunch of crit chance, and especially early in the build it's going to be better because you don't have as much attack speed and stuff. But the downside is that your Kinetic Fusillade that gets shot from your totems, they don't trigger these tigers. So that means you need to be constantly firing like Frenzy yourself, shoot out this Frenzy, in order to summon your tigers and upkeep them. And in pretty juicy content they die regularly. And I just want to play some totems and walk. So yeah, that's the reason why I chose to instead go for the Precursor release for just the comfort of having the action speed reduction immunity. So let's walk our way down the passage 3. Of course some strength nodes because there's no going around it, trying to get down. Then we have our Watcher's Eye. In this case we rock one with the chance to block attack damage while affected by Deter and reduced effects from crit while affected by Deter. So this is how we solve our crit immunity, because we are also wearing a shield with reduced extra damage from crit. What you could do is instead solve it on here and then you free up your Watcher's Eye slot for maybe like a nice precision attack speed or precision attack damage mod or something along those lines. But yeah, that is how I build it. Then moving further down we have Iron Will, so our strength damage bonus also applies to spell damage, and since we are running Kinetic Fusillade, our spell damage also applies to our attack damage at 150% of its value. Then moving further we have this Rune Graft here. Your lucky or unlucky effects are instead unexciting. Now the reason we are running this is because we have a Foulborn Iron Fortress, which says that our chance to block spell damage is unlucky. So what unlucky means is it rolls twice and then it rolls, and then if it succeeds it needs to roll again and it needs to succeed again, which makes it very bad for you, so to speak. What unexciting does, it rolls 3 times and I think it takes the average outcome, so therefore it's sort of a mini lucky, you could speak. So yeah, that basically turns the downside of this body into an upside with the use of just one Rune Graft, so that's very nice. Then moving along to the side here, we are rocking a Balance of Terror with the most importantly Withered on hit if you've cast Despair in the past 10 seconds. But if you can get a combination of also Curse Immunity, that's nice, especially for like the elemental weakness, curses like that. You know, just a simple way to get Curse Immunity, but the combo is pretty expensive, you don't really need it, so you can just go for the Inflict Withered if you've cast Despair. Then moving along we have some reduced skill effect duration as well as less skill effect duration. The reason that we take this is how Kinetic Fusillade works. So basically what Kinetic Fusillade does, it spawns all these little orbs that's going to shoot out, and then after a certain time they eventually fire. But by making sure you have a lot of less duration, a lot of these orbs get fired before they get replaced by new ones that you are generating. And it also makes it just feel a lot better, because it feels like you're almost instantly firing a machine gun instead of you just charging them up and then firing a whole bunch of them. That's why you do need quite a bit of reduced skill effect duration. Then moving further down, we are running obviously a rain of splinters. I think every totem build does this. And then pathing to the left, you also see the first tattoo here. We got quite a few accuracy tattoos to solve our accuracy. Then we have some life nodes, some more life and armor nodes, and we are rocking the 1 armor per 2 strength as we are strength stacking, so that will be a waste not to take. Then we are taking more strength and increased attributes, and we are taking the chance to block spell damage per 5% chance to block attack damage to help us with capping our spell block. Then moving to the right, we are taking this whole set here, which is like attack speed and life and some regen. And due to our lethal pride here, we also have twice 5% increased strength and increased fire res, which was necessary initially in my previous setup. So might also be a good way to fill the holes a bit in your build to also look for one of those. Moving down, life nodes and increased max life. And then of course the lethal pride itself, and then here we start indeed with all the accuracy nodes, as I said. We take the totem node with the increased crit chance, as with this we're nearly crit capped, so we need all the crits we can get. We take point blank because if we place our totems close to the enemy, right, it's just 30% more damage, it's just free. Then we have a little cluster here with some martial prowess, precise retaliation, riot queller. So this is for the riot queller and precise retaliation node. Reason being that this just gives a ton of attack block, and we have plenty of spell block for our body, so we're really lacking attack block. That's why I want riot queller. And then combined with precise retaliation, as we have basically always blocked recently, we get 30% crit multi, which is a very nice node in and of itself. In that we have 2 jewels, one bound by destiny. So this one is one I really like. So what we have here is increased strength, right? I don't know, I just love this jewel. It's been such a good addition to the game. But yeah, for this setup we only use the increased strength. You could eventually also look for one with increased spell or attack critical, flat attack critical, to really make your crit building a bit easier. But it's going to be a bit more expensive and a bit more complicated to get everything like that going. And then we have an Emperor's Mastery with just increased attributes. Yeah, nothing too special there. I don't think they're that expensive this league compared to last league, so if you have the funds, definitely pick one of them up, as it is a huge help with both attributes and life and global defenses. Just a good jewel altogether for the build. Moving up, we take some more crits, and we are taking Runegraft of Treachery. The reason being that what we rock is purity of elements. Well, we use chaos damage only, so that we don't care about the elemental resist we give the enemies. We don't care about the spell block we give them. We don't care about the armor we give them. We don't really care about the precision we give them, right? So it's basically free to run this anyway. Might as well run it to ease a bit up on the requirements. If you, for some reason, don't want to run this, you could instead run Eclipses if your stats are high enough. I previously had a bit more dex, so I could run some Eclipses, but after pivoting into this, I realized I don't need the Eclipse anymore, which freed up my dex requirements, which freed up my suffixes, which honestly, just take this Runegraft and move on. Then we have some more Totem nodes, of course, +1 maximum Totem, and also increased movement speed per summon Totem, which is nice as you're summoning Totems along the way and makes you a bit more speedy. Then we have the Inertia, which is just a bunch of flat strength, very nice. I think there are some better jewels maybe to replace this with, if you have like a pretty min-maxy jewel, but I mean, it's super cheap. It gives a lot of damage, like 10%, so just chuck it in there. And then we end with a cluster. So what we have in this cluster is a 25% increased effect, 8 strength for all attributes. You could also go for a 35% increased effect, 8 strength, and then not the all attributes, and you get almost similar results. This was just what I happened to roll, and I just used it. But this can definitely be improved, obviously. And also, ideally, you would have life instead of evasion there. And in this cluster, we are rocking a split personality with strength accuracy, as to really help us with our accuracy. And we are rocking a strength intelligence split personality, as we do have a pretty hefty intelligence requirement with our wand of 188. Now, looking at it, since then I have gained intelligence in various places, it seems. So maybe this might not be necessary anymore. I can have a look. It seems it is no longer necessary, so I could swap back to intelligence accuracy or strength accuracy, and then get rid of these tattoos and maybe do something else with it. Maybe get cold rust tattoos, free up suffixes, get some damage suffix on there. I don't know. That's the beauty of Pathfinder, right? You can always play around and fiddle with exactly what you need. Yeah, and then the last cluster is the medium jewel for the two notables, Ancestral Inspiration and Sleepless Centuries. The int and strength is just a little bonus, but Ancestral Inspiration gives us Arcane Surge when we summon the totem, and what Arcane Surge does is it grants us cast speed and mana regen. We are relying on mana regeneration for our mana source, as we don't have access to leech really, due to totems not leeching for you. So that's nice. And the increased cast speed gets converted to attack speed by Wilmer's Requital, so that also helps us boost our attack speed. And then the Sleepless Centuries gives us Onslaught if we summon a totem recently, while we're constantly summoning while running around. So this is just a free attack speed and movement speed upgrade. So don't sleep on this jewel. I would definitely get this relatively early. It's very big for the amount of points spent. I think that is just about everything there is to say about the tree. So with that being said, we can move along to the gear setup. So let's start with our weapon and also go over how I crafted everything. Not saying it's the best way, but it works. So for the weapon, we are looking just for a stat stick, something that has crit multi, crit chance, because we want to get the base crit up. We want to get some Chaos Rush penetration and spell damages that gets converted to attack damage nicely by the skill innately. So let me just... There we go. So in order to roll this wand, what you would want, you want to get Kinetic Wand, so you can roll castle modifiers, makes it a lot easier to roll. You get the crit multi fracture on there, which I think they sell for like 1 div or something like that, pretty cheap. Then you just spam with essences of attack speed until you hit a good increased crit chance, preferably tier 1, I set up for tier 2. And then you craft on a suffix that cannot be changed, or rather you use a wild Bristle Matron to get one, as that saves you money. And then you use a Veiled Chaos Orb. Then I don't remember exactly what you have to block. You would have to check craft hexen for that, what the most common one is. And then you unveil, and you hope to unveil the Chaos Rush pen. I think you can also unveil spell damage, which then you can craft on the Chaos Rush pen, which is fine as well. It's relatively safe craft, doesn't go wrong that often. And then you have a perfectly serviceable one all the way into the early end game. Yeah, you could definitely make some improvements to this, but this served me just well. Then the shield, yeah, so the idea was to also be a bit tankier, so that's why I went for a 5% chance of recover 5% of life when you block. So the way I craft this is make sure you have a heat attuned tower shield, as this is this has the most or the highest base chance to block and want as much attack block as possible. Then you start slamming it with strength essences until you hit the 5% chance or 5% of life and block. And when you have those two mods, you can just YOLO exalt and pray that you get something decent. In my case, I got the reduced extra damage from critical strikes, which made me pivot the way I solved my crit immunity. After that, again, well, Bristle Matron for the suffixes cannot be changed. And then at the Horty crafting bench, you can select Reforge Influence modifier. So it will reforge the item with at least one influence modifier on there. And since the only influence prefix that Shaper has is the +1 totem mod, you always get that. At that point, I just blocked flat armor, slammed it. In this case, I hit increased armor, and then craft on the chance to block, bringing us up to 43% block. Of course, ideally, you would slam on a higher chance to block, but this is perfectly serviceable, and I'm very happy with the shield. Then the helmet. So the reason we are running this is because we get increases and reductions to cast speed also applied to attack speed, which is you know, very nice, as we can get cast speed, for example, on the ring here, like 18%, and that will then just be 18% increase in attack speed. So that's really helpful for us. Secondarily, we are rocking the implicit of the increased cost and reservation multiplier, really, yeah, helping us out there in the reservation department. And thirdly, there is Ancestral Bond, which is located all the way over here, which gives us an extra totem. But yeah, we're not going to pass all the way there for just an extra totem, so getting it on the helmet is a nice bonus. What you could eventually do is go for like a Warlord's Strength Stacker helmet, which gives some crit chance and accuracy per strength and stuff like that. And that would then again also free up these nodes for Strength Life split personalities, giving you a bigger life pool, making you a bit more tanky, all stuff to consider. The downside is that you would lose your cast speed to attack speed conversion, so you would be struggling a lot more to get your attack speed. The people you see doing this Warlord helm swap are the people that usually are running the Spectral Tigers, but again, like I said previously, I'm not really a fan of that setup, so that's why I just stick to Wilma's Requital. Then, Eyes of the Great Wolf. It pains me to see this amulet still here, because there should be a Strength Stacker amulet here. Ideally you would have a Strength Stacker amulet, where you would get the increased strength, increased attribute, and 15 damage per 1, or 1% increased damage per 15 strength. Sadly, I failed 4 attempts trying to recomp one, which was a 50-50, so that's sort of where my league ended. So ideally you would have that, but this is perfectly serviceable. Just get increased attributes at the very least, and the second one doesn't really matter. The increased global crit chance is nice, but you can also get like life regen or additional physical damage reduction, whatever floats your boat. They're not too expensive. The most expensive part is actually anointing this, as the corrupted stuff for that is through the roof. I think last time I checked it was like near 3 divines or something. So be wary that it will be a bit of expensive to anoint this. Then let's go to the rings. So we are running a Dusk ring. How this works is basically you get 5 Dusk rings, you combine them, and then they are no longer mirrored, and then you can split them 3-way, or you can just buy them as such, as I did. You just buy them split, and I think it's like, at the time of recording, I think I bought them at 15 diff or something like that. Maybe they're lower now, maybe they're higher, I don't know. But honestly, don't pay too much attention to the rolls of this ring. I was just looking to fix my strength, get some extra int in there, and then get a decent max life roll. Like, it was just fix me up a ring. You can do a lot of interesting stuff with this ring and make it a lot better than this, so don't look too much at the stats. Yeah, I just needed a ring. Then the helical. So what I did here is I just ended up hitting it with strength essences until I got some decent suffixes with it, crafted on all attributes, and then slammed it with a Warlord's Exalt, hoping for something fun, which fire damage per endurance charge is literally nothing for us. So yeah, again, I was planning on recrafting this ring eventually, just never got to it because the craft of the amulet went so wrong. But yeah, what you're looking for is just strength, res, and cast speed is very nice, and of course all attributes to get even more strength. Cast speed being because it gets converted if you don't rock Wilma's Requital, and of course you're not looking for cast speed but something else. Another thing is, of course, crit multi is something that would be really nice to get on this ring. So ideally you would probably do this with a fractured crit multi ring, then strength essence is it, and craft on the all attributes, or hit both of them, of course. So yeah, these rings not very well crafted. Don't pay too much attention to the exact rolls. Definitely go have a peek around on PoE Ninja for this similar builds and see what they do, because this is not what you want. Then the Foulborn Iron Fortress. So the reason we are taking Foulborn is because we get a chance to block spell damage, because attack block is generally easier to solve if you're running a shield. Like right here we get 43% already. And what else this does is that it gives us 3% increase melee physical damage per 10 strength. So it gives us a lot of extra increased damage, which is what we need because we get a bunch of flat from our Elrond's Warpath. So now we need a source of increase, which is the Iron Fortress, which is really helping with that in combination with our strength stacking. Then for the gloves, again, not really special gloves or anything. Yeah, I just got a max life fracture. Then I think I spammed it with Chaos Rest Essences until I hit Strength and some other half decent suffix. And then I just slapped on armor and I was like, okay, you know, this is serviceable, it's fine. Of course, you would ideally want to get a higher flat armor and a higher increased armor and be playing around with Eldritch Currency to like min-max that a bit. But it was fine. As you can see from the build, compared to other builds I do, I didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of perfecting everything like I usually do. As yeah, I'm making this video because I'm quitting rather than I feel like the build is very much complete in exactly the shape I want it to be. So keep that in mind. And then for the implicits, most importantly, increased damage per 100 strength. The other one, rage on attack hit, was just an attempt. I kind of knew it wouldn't work with totems, but I was sort of hoping it would. It didn't. So again, you would have to spam frenzy a lot to get the rage up. It's not great. So look, maybe there's something else you can put there that you enjoy. I just didn't bother to change it yet. Then the boots, yeah, so important stat, increase strength, try and get that at the max level, but maybe even more important is the 1 to 80 chaos damage per 2 attacks per 80 strength. So what people will be doing is they will be using the volatile orb to corrupt these things and hope to hit a higher flat damage range, which also means that if you're buying these boots corrupted, watch out that you don't buy one that's below 1 to 80, that's like a lowered roll, because that will really eat into your damage. So that, then Mage Blood is just Mage Blood, not much to say there. Then for the flasks, yeah, we are running a Progenesis. I think every live build wants to run Progenesis. Just such a good item, makes you so much more tanky. And then besides that, we are running a Amethyst Flask to solve our Chaos Res, because even with it, we're only at 54, so we desperately needed that. Of course, you could solve it on the suffixes of your rings, and then you could have like a more damage flask here. But like I said, I didn't get to exactly tuning and min-maxing the build exactly how I wanted just yet. We do this with a regen, so that we don't fall over from ground dots. Then we have our Diamond Flask with bleed and corrupted blood immunity. We have a Granite Flask with additional elemental resistances, and we have our Quicksilver with increased armor. These two flasks combined with determination now put us at a nice 40,000 armor, which is pretty solid. It won't help you against the quad Delhi bosses with their big physical hits, right? Because they're just too big to be blocked by this amount of armor. But it does help in a lot of instances, making you quite a bit tankier to physical damage. Alright, so now we had the gear and the flasks. Now let's speak a bit about the skills we are running. So starting with the auras, I'm running Determination with a Tempest Shield and the Purity of Elements, all linked with Enlighten. And I am running a 21 Precision with Arrogant support, so that's reserving a bit of my life. Then I'm running Despair, obviously to lower the enemy's chaos resistance, but also to activate the Balance of Terror. And then in the shield, I'm rocking a Frostblink, Frenzy, and a Shield Charge. Ideally, you would probably get one of those corrupted ones where Shield Charge already has faster attacks on there. But if I look at my current attack speed, like with some Onslaught, for me this Shield Charge speed is more than serviceable, so I don't really need to link faster attacks with it. And the reason I didn't want to do that is because I wanted to keep my boots free, of course, for the all ascendancy. Then in the gloves we have a Raise Spectre, a Minion Life, Companionship and Power Support. So basically what we're just doing is we are using a perfect Dark Marionette, which automatically resummons to take 15% of our damage for us, just giving us an additional defensive layer, basically. Like I said before, you could just leave these gloves completely empty and then get the crit immunity from the all ascendancy as well. And then lastly, the actual skill. So we are running Kinetic Fusillade. With this, we are running concentrated effect support because it is an area skill, but we don't really have area of effect, so we don't really care about the less area of effect. Then we use greater volley for a bunch of extra projectiles. Less duration, as I explained earlier, you want less duration so that those projectiles get fired instantly. I think I can quickly show it to you actually, real quick. I'll just go to the Blood Aqueduct. So if I were to place on a totem right here, you'll see it starts firing near immediately, whereas with a less duration, it takes quite a bit to fire, and it will fire in like a bit of burst. It doesn't immediately just keeps firing all its projectiles. Whereas if I can find another group, here you can see it's constantly firing all of its projectiles. So that duration in the end, sort of, you need to balance your duration with your attacks per second to get like a nice balance where you're not attacking too fast, but you're also not holding those projectiles there for too long. So that's why the less duration support. Then volatility, because due to the boots being a flat roll from 1 to 80, we have a huge roll range, so volatility is very good in those cases, just like with lightning damage. And then we have ballistic totem support as we are a totem build, so obviously we need that. I think I covered basically all of it. Yeah, so with that being said, let's just run a quick map. Let's see, I will run a abomination. So here I have a endurance charge, chaos rest, elemental rest, synth balls, some curses, combination of proj. We'll see how it goes. I might die due to the AoE and additional proj. That's pretty scary on the abomination map, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, allow me to explain a bit about the playstyle. So what you have to do is you run around, you place totems, and everything dies. Pretty simple. With that being said, you do want to frequently drop down your despair curse, because of course with your despair curse you're gonna wither, although eventually your damage gets to a point that, you know, if you don't put despair curse it doesn't really matter, as you see those rares just vanishes, alright. The other reason to put down despair curse is just to get rid of these curses on you. That would be a reason why you would want to frequently cast despair. Yeah, this is basically how the build functions. You just run around, throw some totems down, totems just blast everything, get your loot, move on. I would say I've used this build also for the Legion. It felt pretty good, especially with the cascading one where you can re-summon constantly the generals. I think because these projectiles, they chain onto other enemies 3 times, and you fire 7 projectiles, so they're constantly chaining between all the monsters, which makes it relatively strong to for that setup for Legion, I would say. So that's one. Let's see. The other ones have already died, and there goes the Depraved Trinity. Well, so that's the build. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you need any help or have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And with all that being said, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.